In this video, we are going to talk about the classification of matter. So we already discussed how matter is anything you can see, touch, or feel. It's anything that has mass and occupies volume. And we talked about elements and compounds. In this video, we're going to start talking about mixtures. So a mixture consists of two or more pure substances. A pure substance is something that cannot be broken down further by physical means. So that is going to be either an element or a compound. So when you put two of these pure substances together, then you get a mixture. We have two types of mixtures. The first is a homogeneous mixture, and a homogeneous mixture has the same composition throughout the mixture. An example of that might be a pitcher of lemonade and glasses of lemonade. Each one of those glasses of lemonade will have the same composition as what is in the pitcher. Now, a heterogeneous mixture is different. It does not have the same composition. And not only does it not have the same composition, it is visibly different. And so an example of that might be trail mix. And if you get different handfuls of trail mix, each one of those handfuls will be different as well. So with homogeneous mixture, if you have a homogeneous mixture, each sample you take from that mixture will also be the same. With a heterogeneous mixture, each sample you take from that mixture will be different. Now, with mixtures, you can separate them through physical means. So the first type of separation we can use is distillation. So this is an example of a distillation where you have a distillation flask here. We have our mixture. In this case, it is salt water, and we're burning it up, and it gets heated up until it reaches this condensing tube where the water will move down the condensing tube because it's cold in that tube. We have cold water going in, and then it will go in this receiving flask, and this is how we get our pure water. And eventually we will only have salt back in our distillation flask. Another way to separate mixtures is paper chromatography. So here in ink, you can see we have these different colors that are being separated as they move up our chromatography plate. So when we look at the classification of matter, at the very top up here, we have matter. And this is anything that occupies space and has mass. And it can exist as a solid, liquid, or gas. We have two types of matter that occur in nature. We have pure substances, and then we have mixtures. Now, pure substances are matter that have chemical compositions and distinct properties. Generally, they cannot be separated or broken down any further by physical means. Mixtures are going to be two or more pure substances, and they retain their individual identities, and you can separate them using physical methods. Now, if you recall, the two types of pure substances are elements, which are the fundamental substance and cannot be separated into simpler substances even by chemical methods, or we can have compounds. These are substances composed of two or more elements in a fixed proportion. They can be separated into simpler substances and elements, but you have to use chemistry or chemical methods in order for this to happen. And like we just talked about, the two types of mixtures are homogeneous and heterogeneous. Remember, homogeneous mixtures have uniform composition and properties throughout. These are also referred to as solutions. And then heterogeneous mixtures are not uniform in composition and properties throughout the mixture. Here is another table that goes a little bit more in depth for these different types of matter. All right, let's talk about energy. Energy is the ability to do work or produce heat. And the most common unit of energy is probably the joule, and it is kilograms times mass squared over second squared. Work is a force acting over a distance. Now, heat is energy that flows from one object or substance to another. And this happens because of a temperature difference. Because of a temperature difference between two objects or substances. Now, kinetic energy is the energy of motion. And so kinetic energy is really the energy due to the movement of an object, whereas potential energy is the energy stored. And this is usually due to position.